Hello, welcome to a new video. Thank you for joining. Today in this video I'm going to be looking at how to get started teaching English online in 2025. If you're wanting to earn a substantial income in the new year, and if you want to try and get more students to teach in the new year, then this video is for you. It's more of an informal video, a little less like my structured videos, more of a coffee and a chat. And if you do like the video, hit the thumbs up and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. The first thing that you need to consider is whether you have the right equipment for teaching English online. Now, when I got started, I had my desktop PC and I would be teaching from that desktop. It was quite a few years old and it was starting to collect dust, starting to slow down, which is where I found a MacBook Pro. You don't have to go as far as maybe a MacBook Pro, but there are a range of different laptops, desktops available to match a varying degree of, financial requirements. If you want to pay up quite a lot of money for a MacBook Pro, then you can do. You can use that MacBook Pro for a variety of different purposes. For me, I use it for creating these videos, as well as, editing videos and creating content. I also use it for my primary job as well. However, you don't need the MacBook Pro if you're not into video editing or anything else like that. And you can pick up an affordable Mac Mini as well as iMac or a MacBook Air for that purpose. The MacBook Air, these range of MacBook Airs with the M chip are great. They're very, very fast, and you can only use these to get started if you want. So consider the equipment, consider the particular hardware that you want to get. If you want to go through the Windows route, then again, there's laptops available, desktops available. And, again, they're, depending on your budget, you'll find a laptop rather, or a Windows desktop for your purpose. Besides the laptop, desktop range that you need, I would always recommend investing in a good quality microphone. You don't need anything like this. For me, I use this for, again, my video content, but I also use it for my online teaching. So if you're interested, I'll put a link down below on this microphone. But if you have headphones, and a lot of headphones these days have a microphone included, embedded within it, that's fine. Alongside these, there are some other headphones. If I bring this one across, come on, you can see the microphone here, and I use this for my gaming. But anyway, so we've got the laptop or desktop, we've got the microphone. Headphones, again, these are separate. You can get very affordable headphones, so like these Sony little Bluetooth ones. I think these were less than £20 or something like that. Besides that, what I would always recommend is possibly looking at getting a webcam, external webcam, because the webcams on laptops are not necessarily great quality. So for me, when I teach online, I tend to use an external webcam, this Logi webcam, which is 1080p. You can get webcams nowadays which are greater quality, 4K I believe, but again, it all depends on what you want to try and achieve. I would always urge audio over the quality of the picture when it comes down to online teaching, and invest in a good quality microphone because the student wants to hear you, rather than investing in a high quality webcam. Anyhow, after you get the equipment and you're all set up, you can either work directly from your laptop or monitor and what have you. If you do have a laptop, I would urge you to get a secondary monitor, because a secondary monitor means you've got greater workspace and you can start to drag things across. So for me, I have my MacBook, but then I connect it to an external monitor, and let me show you actually. It's bear with me. So if I drag you over here, you can see my MacBook here, and then on the other side I've got my main space. So you can see I tend to use the main large monitor for my workspace and getting that sort of thing sorted. But anyhow, that's the main thing about it. Let me put you back. I don't want you to get dizzy. Okay, so you're back. Thank you. Right, so we've looked at equipment and you're all set up, you're all geared for teaching English online. What's the next step? What do you have to consider, particularly when we're going into the new year? Well, for me, I would recommend deciding what you want to teach. Now, if you're going to be teaching English, general English, and you want to try and improve students' level of English, then you can do, but you're going to be competing with so many teachers who are just going to be focused on general English. And I found out early on in my teaching career that if you want to become a better teacher, it's always good to consider specialising. So I got involved with examining and Cambridge exams. I was a written marker, or whatever they called it back then. I was also an examiner for the speaking test when I was here in Korea the first time, for the BULATs, the business language testing system. So it's always a good idea to try and specialise and focus on what you're really interested in. You don't have to specialise in just general English. There's a variety of other Englishes that you can look at. Do you want to teach pilots airline English? Do you want to teach cabin crew English? Do you want to teach medical English, legal English? What's your specialisation? If you specialise and niche down, then you're going to be separating yourself, making yourself more competitive compared to just general English. Now, there's nothing wrong about focusing on general English, but it just makes you look more professional, differentiates you from the rest of the pack, the English teaching pack, and you can then discover something that you may not have come across yourself. So for me, when it comes down to teaching online, I tend to focus on academic English. I also focus on the IELTS exam. I have a range of students who want to pass the IELTS exam for a variety of purposes, either to study abroad and study at a university in an English speaking country, or they want to emigrate abroad and live abroad, particularly in an English speaking country. Anyhow, I have met a variety of teachers, online teachers as well, who focus on various different aspects of teaching, and there's one person that I know who teaches medical English and prepares students for a range of English medical exams or medical English exams, particularly for those that are doctors who are emigrating to work and live in an English speaking country where English is crucial for communication. Particularly, you don't want to have surgery on someone's right hand when it's meant to be on their left hand or something like that. It can be very, very serious. So have a think about what you're curious about, what you are interested in, and this would definitely differentiate you compared to other English teaching professionals. The third thing that I would recommend, particularly for those that want to get into 2025 teaching a variety of different courses, is perhaps consider how you want to go about teaching English. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, I've shared a variety of different lessons, predominantly those first lessons, those trial lessons, and that's great. You get a good idea about how to deliver a successful trial lesson, but how do you go about teaching after that? Now, there are a variety of different courses available. In January next year, there is the online CELTA course available in Korea. You don't have to be resident in Korea, but you can take the course from abroad. And I'll put the details in the description below this video so you can have a look at it. And I would urge those that are really serious about teaching English online to go about pursuing professional development, completing courses, as well as this online CELTA course. It will give you all the skills necessary to deliver high quality, satisfying lessons where students are, really appreciative and they're happy, and you're content with the quality that you're delivering as well. Outside of professional development and courses, there are materials that you need to consider using. You can either go through the course book route and go through the course book, and let's say you set up a 8-week course, you then have the course book and you decide how you want to structure that lesson or that course. But if you have students who are going to be with you long term, maybe a course book isn't that suitable, and maybe you have to try and give something which is slightly unique, tailored towards what the student is trying to achieve. So it could be exam preparation, or it could be a long course on developing the student's fluency. Then have a look at online material. There's a range of websites that cater for English teachers, and I've covered these in the past, and there's like Lingua House, there's ESL Brains, and a variety of others. So have a look online for materials that will help you when it comes down to thinking, how are you going to teach? The other aspect about how you're going to teach is, what are you going to cover in your synchronous lessons, those live lessons online with the students, and what are you going to get students to do asynchronously? It's a bit of a mouthful, my apologies, but what are you going to do with students when they're not having lessons with you? For me personally, I do recommend students, particularly my own students, to pick up 2 books. Now, apologies, I'm going to grab them here. And my students feel some sense of, progression when it comes down for them to study with me. They have some routine to go through, and I'm usually teaching students 2 or 3 times a week, depending on their availability and my schedule and that side of things. So the first book I would always recommend is for students to buy their own physical copy of English Grammar in Use. This book is a wonderful resource, and students can go through 1 unit a day for 30 minutes. I'm not sure if I've covered this book in the past, but there's an explanation on the left here, and then there's the exercise on the right. And I tell students, go through the book. If there's any questions you have about the grammar, or if you're curious about why certain things are the way they are, then feel free to raise that in my lessons. This gives me an opportunity to deviate away from the predictable lesson that I'm going to be delivering, and it allows the students to feel a sense of progression and appreciation because they're going through this. It's relatively structured, and I'm quite happy to dive in from time to time with English Grammar in Use. The other book that I would recommend students to consider purchasing, and one that I always recommend my students to get, is English Vocabulary in Use. So they have a copy of their English grammar in use, but they also have their vocabulary in use as well. And again, just like the grammar in use, on the left-hand page there's the explanation, and then there's the exercise on the right. And I tell students to get the physical copy, as I mentioned, but for both books, because I'm more of a traditionalist. A lot of my students that I teach at university who are in their 20s prefer to have digital books. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel there's something that comes down to actually using a pen and paper and writing down. It kind of sticks in my mind when I'm walking along the street and, you know, I come across some new vocabulary in Korean, and I actually write it down in my in my diary. And if I'm able to write it down, I can refer to it quite easily. I don't need to switch on my iPad or refer to my phone. I can just pick this up, have a look at it, and remind myself. And there has been some study that for students that are learning a language, they need to see it a number of times before it sticks in their mind. And physical copy and actually writing it down gives some sense of idea and some retention. So I always urge my students to get a physical copy. Oh, got a notification. Your lesson starts soon. Anyway, I'm going to move on. That's the main thing. So let's have a look. Anyhow, I'm rambling a bit, and that's how to teach. How do you want to teach? What do you use? The materials, online materials as well as physical materials as well. Right, the next step is to think about your schedule. How much do you want to be teaching English online, and when do you want to be teaching English online? Is it going to be something that you're devoted to, that you're going to be working on as a new career, particularly in 2025, or is it something you want to supplement your main income with in the evenings and weekends? Now, the primary role of teaching English online for me, and for those that want to supplement their income, is to have that flexibility. I want to be available with family, but I also want to use my time as beneficial as possible. If I have availability, then you know I can earn money in that free time, and it's the same for you. But if you want to dive in full time teaching English online, then there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good opportunity for you. And you know, try and choose a schedule which works for you. So if you want to work Mondays to Fridays, think about where the students are going to be located. Are you going to be teaching students who are based in Southeast Asia? And if you're in Europe, then they're going to be a number of hours ahead. However, if you're going to be teaching students from South America and you're in Europe, you're going to be a number of hours ahead yourself. Have a think about the sort of students you want to try and teach, what your prospective student is, try and discover who they are, what your main niche is, and if you're, let's say for example, I want to teach students who are of university age, they're studying their IELTS to go and study abroad, then I know they're going to be highly motivated, they're going to be professional. In my mind, they're going to be based in Southeast Asia or outside of Europe, maybe in South America, but predominantly in Southeast Asia. Europeans don't have such a big market for IELTS, although having said that, there are some who want to pursue IELTS for their own purposes. And they don't have the difficulties that maybe Southeast Asians have when it comes to the IELTS exam. And finally, when it comes down to your schedule, think about the times that you create based on what location that you're trying to focus on. So give that some thought, and it would start to come together when it comes down to, your schedule, your time, your availability. I hope that helps. Anyway, I'm going to move on to our final point. So you create your schedule, you plan, and you focus on particular students. So let's move on to the next and final component, the fifth and final component. And how do you get students? So when you're coming down to trying to secure students, if you already know where they're located and who they are, then think about the sort of marketplace that they are in. If you're looking for Southeast Asian students and they're outside of China, then you've got Facebook, you've got other marketing tools, you've got Instagram, you've got YouTube here to market your services. Create a sort of marketing plan about how you're going to get students to sign up for you. The next thing is, if you're going to be focusing on students from China, then certain websites and social media is kind of out of bounds in that regard. With the Great Firewall of China, they can't necessarily get access to Facebook and various other groups for English language teaching and learning and that side of things. So have a think about what do potential Chinese social media users use, and could you use the same social media to market your services? The other thing that you need to consider is about payment. How much do you want to charge students? Are you going to be teaching one-to-one? Are you going to be teaching groups? If you're going to be teaching groups, are you going to be charging less if there's, a greater amount of students? So, are you going to be charging more for one-to-one? So is it $25, $30, $40, $50 per hour? Or are you going to be charging $10 per hour for 5, 6, 7 students in that class, in that group of students that you're going to be teaching? And can you get all 5, 6, 7 students to sign up for that course? So a couple of things that you need to think about. And then finally, when it comes down to how you're going to get students, try and approach students that you've taught in the past. Let them know that you're available to teach. And the good thing about the beginning of the year, a lot of students have this resolution of, I'm going to learn English, I'm going to master English. So ride on the wave of that. Try and market your services well before. Have a think about sending out an email to all your students for Christmas saying, Happy Christmas, I hope you have a lovely time with family, and feel free to get in touch if you want your English studies with me. And then see if there is an opportunity there. So there's a variety of potential opportunities that you could incorporate when it comes down to teaching English in 2025. Anyway, we're at the end, and I've got 5 minutes to go until I have to dive into a trial lesson. I suppose that's another aspect that you could consider. Maybe apply for online teaching services like Preply or Twinix or Twenix, however you pronounce it, or EF, British Council. They have online teaching platforms. So yeah, have a look around. I'm sure you'll be able to find the possibility of teaching English online for 2025. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you want to sign up for the course in the new year about how to teach English online, let me know. Get in touch and I'll be happy to have you on board, and join the Discord server that I'm running, because I'll be sharing more information about the online course there. But for now, have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.